I'd like to call the Macomb City Council to order, please. If you'd please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Mike Wayland.
Here.
John Vajezi.
Here.
Don Wynn.
Here.
Tom Cook.
Present.
Ashley Katz. Here. Tammy Lee Brown Edwards.
Here.
Dennis Moon.
Here.
7 present.
We have a quorum. Thank you. If the council would allow, I'd like to issue a proclamation, and I'd like to ask a group of 3 young women to come join me here at the podium. We're celebrating Mentoring Month, and we have 3 individuals associated with Big Brothers and Big Sisters with us here tonight. We have Ms. Carrie Pedigo, who is representing the administration. She's on the board at the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Sarah Baca couldn't be with us this evening. We have Miss Sophie here, who is a little, and Shayna Ascone is here with us. She is a big. So we're glad to have you here, and thank you for all you're doing. If you'll allow me, I'll proclaim that whereas everyone remembers someone special, whether it be a neighbor, a teacher, relative, or a friend, who broadened our horizons and brought purposes to our lives, and whereas these special individuals singled us out and volunteered their time to help us become engaged and stay on the right track to success, and whereas every adult has something to offer a child, and every child has something to offer our community, and whereas research has shown that children engaged in healthy and safe one-to-one mentoring relationships are more likely to graduate high school, avoid incarceration, and avoid delinquent behavior, and whereas there are a significant number of vulnerable children in our community who need and want positive role models in their lives, and whereas our city embraces the concept of engaging volunteers to mentor children of promise in our community. Now, therefore, I, Michael J. Inman, Mayor of the City of Macomb, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2022 as Mentoring Month. And I encourage all citizens, businesses, public and private agencies, and religious and educational institutions to support mentoring and give young people in our community the gift of time and friendship through the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. Ms. Carrie, I'll give this to you, and thank you very much. If you'd like to take just a moment, I'll allow you.
First, I appreciate the community very, very much in supporting Big Brothers Big Sisters. I wasn't going to say anything, but after listening to the proclamation, Big Brothers Big Sisters has been a part of my life since I was 13 years old. My father passed away at that time, and my siblings all got a big. So it's huge in my life, and I appreciate this community and how much they support Big Brothers Big Sisters. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, I would like to take just a moment. We recently lost someone in our community who has a lengthy and very profound history in the community of giving back. Earlier this month, Mr. H.L., many of us knew him as Tweed Mummert, passed away at the age of 97. Tweed was a founding member of the Flags of Love Committee, also the Heritage Days Committee, and remained active in both those organizations and groups for many, many years. He was a local businessman for over 40 years, and as his obituary quotes, he was one of Macomb's best ambassadors. He was also responsible for helping the city in successfully transitioning a former business of his on the corner of Lafayette and Calhoun Street to what is now the Mummert Pocket Park, the Bold Brew House, and components supporting other businesses in that neighborhood. So if you'll join me in a moment of silence and taking a moment to remember remarkable H.L. Tweed Mummert. Thank you. Council, before you is the consent agenda, and a motion is in order.
Move to adopt as published.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to adopt the consent agenda as published. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Wayland,
Aye.
Vajezzi,
Aye.
Wynn,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Katz,
Aye.
Brown Edwards.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Citizens wishing to address the council under the public comments section of tonight's agenda on matters germane to the agenda of this meeting will be limited to 3 minutes and are asked to be brief and concise in making their remarks. Comments submitted by mail or email will not be read aloud, but a copy will be provided to each member of the council and made a part of the minutes of this meeting. Does anyone wish to speak to the council under the public comment section of tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to departmental quarterly reports. And it would appear that the city attorney is first in line.
Thank you. I did provide a written report listing ordinance violation cases from October, November, and December. Also provided education that I've done during that quarter, as well as documents prepared and other matters, such as committee meetings, FOIA requests, and other things. I am also a participant with the Macomb Youth Leadership Program, job shadowing program. So I had my high school student with me at a court appearance in November and anticipate having her with me at least one of the budget committee sessions so she can see kind of the other side of my job.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Scalf? Alderman Brown Edwards.
Yes, thank you, Madam Attorney. Can you explain how we approved for you to have new software earlier in the year? Can you explain how that's able to track things and income as well?
So we don't have all of the cases from last year entered. We're kind of getting them as they come up. So it's hard to, at this point, do a year-to-year comparison. So that's still a little bit manual. But through the software, the ordinance violation data, I'm able to pull through reports from that system rather than going back through the dockets manually and pulling those cases to manually tell you how they resolve. So that saves an enormous amount of time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All righty. Mr. Bannon is not with us this evening, so we'll catch up with him on a quarterly report at another meeting. He's unable to be here. So Chief Meyer from the Fire Department, please.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor, City Administrator. I have provided you with our quarterly report, quick breakdown of it. For October, November, December, we had 716 calls for service, 8 structure fires, and 550 EMS. The next 3 pages are the breakdown by months. Then you'll find the page after that, our 2021 call volume. We finished the year with 2,708 calls. That was an increase of 457 from the year before. Notable part of that is our EMS treatment. We're at 77% of our call volume revolves around EMS. We had a total of 37 fires for the year. That wraps in mutual aid also into that number. So, our training and education for the quarter, we finished the quarter with 439 hours. Most of our training right now is revolving around our 4 probationary firefighters. They're doing excellent overall. 2 of them are coming up, or just past their 6-month probationary period. High marks on everything. And then we have 2 that are just finishing their 9-month probationary period. Those 2 are doing very well also. Inspections with COVID's resurgence, we have cut back a little bit on our inspections. And with October being Fire Prevention Month, it takes up a lot of our time. Part of that, we did complete our annual inspections of our fraternities and sororities in conjunction with the Building and Zoning Office. Next page, our fire prevention. October is always our big month for fire prevention. We present to local schools our annual fire prevention campaign from pre-K through 6th grade. We had one station visit, and then we installed 6 car seats. Under miscellaneous business, I'm proud to announce we finally got the car in and finally got it all lettered and vinyled. And the longest part was waiting for the lights and sirens to come in. They finally came in towards the end of December, beginning of January, and it is now in service. I do have a picture there on the end of it. It's working out well.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions or comments for the chief? A couple of things, Chief, of my mass right here. That's averaging last year about almost 8 calls per day for service.
Yes.
That's a considerable increase over what my memory has been over the years. So appreciate the hard work of your folks in doing that. And then you touched on one other thing that maybe folks aren't completely aware of, but you do also do child passenger safety seat installs at the.
Correct.
Is that by appointment?
Yes, somebody just, if they need a seat or need it inspected or installed, just call the station and we'll get you an appointment set up, and then they can come up to the station and we'll get one installed for you.
Okay, very good. Good service you provide there. Thank you for that. Anything else at all for the chief? Ernie, thanks, Chief. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chief Jones here next, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Administrator, Madam City Attorney, Alderman. I've also provided council with our quarterly report for the Macomb City Police Department. And I'm going to respectfully request that you direct your attention to page 2, Personnel Highlights, Staffing and Awards. I'll start with our staffing level. As of this month, and I wanted to include the current number as far as the police department stands in January of 2022, which I will reiterate on the next quarterly report. We do have, out of the authorized number of temporarily increasing to 27, we are at 25. That does include our military personnel who are currently not staffing the department due to deployments, and it also includes light duty assignments, including our special assignments, the department-wide. So officers that are currently present and officers that are also on assignment elsewhere or also dealing with an illness relative to light duty. We have a number of training highlights from the quarter. We trained in the area of K-9 operations, strategic response, cyberbullying, range and firearms, which also includes new hires and pre-existing employees, lead homicide recertification for the investigations division, sexual harassment prevention department-wide, and also SWAT training, to which we were able to send an officer to a special SWAT school. As far as new hires, promotions, and retirements are concerned, CSO Jorian Tucker, our previous community service / diversity and recruitment officer, he departed from our department in the third quarter. Him and his wife, they started a new family and decided to move closer to home, to be closer to relatives and to get a little bit more family assistance where their roots are. Officer Renatic Sterlich, she graduated from the PTI Academy in December. I was able to be in attendance for the graduation. They had over 100 recruits in this academy class, which are huge numbers for a police academy. And Officer Sterlich was one of the squad leaders and had very high marks. Her test scores were above the class average. And all of the directors and assistant directors for the Police Training Institute had nothing but commendable things to say about Officer Sterlich. Officer Curtis Bedwell and Officer Caitlin Lovell, they were hired by the Macomb Police Department in December, and they're both experienced law enforcement officers. They are currently at the department and beginning a field training program for the next 14 weeks. If I can take you down to awards, several officers received awards in the third quarter. Officers included Officer Denise Kramer, who received the Chiefs Recognition Award. And just for a brief highlight, the Chiefs Recognition Award that Officer Kramer received was because of her efforts with a lot of the calls for service pertaining to our juvenile-related matters out at the high school and junior, senior high, and also our elementary level schools, in addition to the community-oriented policing initiatives that she has been a part of. Letters of commendation went to Officer Hawes, Officer Severs and his partner K-9 Mac, Officer Gray, and Officer Duvall. These were for various reasons. I'll just highlight briefly Officer Hawes and Officer Severs. In addition to Officer Steiger, they all were involved in a traffic-related matter, whereas there was a large shipment of methamphetamine that came through the city of Macomb limits, and they were able to get that vehicle stopped, and the K-9 alerted on that vehicle, and quite a bit of methamphetamine, an unforeseen amount to this area, was removed from that vehicle, and also a handgun was removed from that vehicle, to which the person was taken into custody without incident. Officer Duvall received an award, or the letter of commendation, for the vehicle impound. He manages the vehicle impounds for us, and he was able to auction off a number of vehicles in order to clear a large amount of inventory for the Macomb Police Department. Officer Gray, I added him in as well for the letter of commendation that he received. This was an officer that I can add in along with Acting Sergeant Gock and also Detective Huffman for some DUI efforts that they had conducted. They received awards back in July, and so we were able to present them as a police department to them for their efforts. And so these are awards that are awarded at the state level, and we were able to recognize them at the award ceremony for their efforts of DUI enforcement, driving under the influence. Community Policing Award went to Officer Severs and his partner K-9 Mac. If you notice throughout town, Officer Severs and K-9 Mac, you can see them popping up all over with their K-9 demonstrations, from the elementary age students all the way down to, I would even say, preschool and kindergarten students. They most recently paid a visit to St. Paul School, and the students they ate up every last bit of the K-9 demonstration. And so it's awesome to see Officer Stevens and K-9 Mac continue to conduct that service for our community. And for those reasons, they were commended. A life-saving award for Officer Zach Hill. There was an individual, a male, when this call for service went out, that was experiencing a heart attack. And without Officer Hill's life-saving efforts, this individual would have unfortunately perished, according to medical staff. I want to highlight some notable events. We had Shop with a Cop in the third quarter, the Macomb Fraternal Order of Police, and also a number of other first responders within the community, from the fire department to state police, you name the local organizations that all pitched in to help the Macomb Police Department and the FOP with servicing over 100 families this year and making sure that every child had a Christmas present under their tree. We had Deer Hunters Range Safety Day, the Macomb Police Department Explorers Fundraiser, some of the best chicken that I ever had locally at one of our establishments. The kids did a really good job with that fundraiser that night. And also, one of my favorite games, the Macomb Youth Basketball with MPD officers. So we had kids that were between the ages of 9 and 12, and I'll just put it to you like this: I'm still hobbling around. Let me direct your attention to the next page, the agency quarterly activity. These are the numbers that currently stand within the third quarter. As you can tell, our calls for service, we have experienced an 8% decrease when you look at the comparison of 2021 and the year of 2020. Our calls for service in 2021 in this quarter totaled 5,261, and in 2020 they were at 4,864. Also, our arrests for both adults and juveniles have increased within this quarter, and as you all know, I have expressed my concern pertaining to the number of juvenile calls for service that have occurred, and with that being said, my office has been working tirelessly with the local school district and some local organizations in order to help put some measures in place to hopefully help divert behavior, juvenile behavior and delinquency, and to put more mentoring opportunities in place for the children. The numbers on paper for the adult arrests showed 330 compared to last year, 2020, correction, now that we're in 2022, 313. Adult arrests for juveniles were 22 versus 16 in 2020 for this quarter. And also our traffic arrests, they were showing a decrease, which means that whether it had been a state issue citation or a custodial arrest, arrests have been down in that area for the third quarter. Non-traffic related matters, for non-traffic related arrests, those are up significantly. If you see the 233 compared to 166, our city charges are down, and our state charges, again, which does count as a state arrest, even if it's not custodial, that number is up to 298 compared to 216 in 2020. Other reported activity, our theft over and our theft under. Theft under remained pretty steady at 15 compared to the year of 2020. And then our theft over numbers were a slight increase. And so that also includes our retail thefts. Quite a bit of that involves retail thefts at the local businesses here in town, such as you name Walmart, or if you know Farm King and some of the other places where we may experience retail thefts from time to time. Burglaries, this was another number that I expressed concern to you all in the past with regards to how high that was. And so in 2021, third quarter, we are at 10 compared to only 1 in 2020. What I do have to report to you all regarding the burglaries is that our detectives have worked tirelessly around the clock to wrap up some of those burglaries that we previously discussed that took place over the summer, some of those incidents that were still pending. And they liaisoned with the Illinois State Police Crime Lab, and they were able to make a couple of really good arrests of a couple of individuals that were tied to multiple burglaries. So our department has been working really hard within the investigation section and also with the assistance of the patrol division and the patrol investigators. And that is how we've been able to wrap up a lot of these major incidents. Our thefts for auto, they were up quite a bit as well, to 6 compared to 1 in 2020. And then criminal damage has slightly gone down in this quarter. Our accidents, which is something that I'm continuing to monitor myself and my team, accidents are a little high, quite a bit higher compared to 2020, but we also have to remember that in 2020, there were a lot less people out because of the pandemic. But this time of the year with the weather, a lot more ice, it's a lot slicker out. It's definitely something that our officers are being more watchful of to make sure that motorists are traveling safely throughout the city limits of Macomb. I added a line based off of the previous correspondence that we had with regards to the community service officer and some of the calls that the community service officer actually participates and helps with. This is not solely or exclusive to the community service officer position, as it primarily does involve the patrol division, but the mental health calls for service, I felt it was important to bring that to your attention, that in 2021 that we've handled 45 mental evals, and I separated the line to show you also suicidal subjects, which I do believe fall up under that same umbrella. We dealt with 23 of those. Taser deployments, we have not deployed a taser this quarter for 2021 compared to 1 last year. There was only 1 laser deployed, to which there was no form of a stun that ever occurred. I spoke on some of the notable issues such as the burglaries. We did have a domestic incident in the 600 block of North Campbell Street, to which the individual was taken into custody without incident. That involved a male with a handgun who in fact fired off a number of rounds inside the residence during a domestic disturbance. We also had that same day, within an hour, at the intensive care unit at our local hospital, an individual attempted to disarm one of our officers, and 2 of our officers sustained minor injuries during that custodial arrest. We had several threats toward the high school, verbal threats, and all of those were closed without issues. Exceptionally closed is what we call it in the investigation section, and we continue to conduct safe and sober driving details. And I spoke with you all about the 13-pound meth seizure earlier. That was the traffic stop to which the officers received commendation for. And at 440 North Campbell, we dealt with a meth lab, a methamphetamine lab, to which arrests were made out of that. I'll take you all to some miscellaneous things going on the next pages. I spoke about CSO, former CSO Jorian Tucker departing from us. You can see him posing with his cake along with the MPD family. It was a hard day to see him go. You know, I miss Jorian to this day. We've definitely been blessed to have more employees step up and even new employees come in to fill that void. And so He's still available if we have any questions pertaining to anything he might have left behind in his office. But he was definitely a good employee for us. If you could take note of the next page, and I'm in the process of wrapping this up. It shows some of the pictures with the life-saving awards, Officer Kramer and some of our community-oriented policing efforts, officers posing for the new hiring testing date, to which we're pretty close to finishing off that list as we're continuing to hire in order to get to that authorized number. And then again, the PTI photos for the graduation. And as you can see, K9 Mac is excited to get his award at the bottom, right up under the shot with a cop photo. I'm open to any questions.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions or comments for Chief Jones? Alderman Brown Edwards.
Ma'am?
Thank you, Chief, for your report, and it's very concise and very detailed. Thank you very much. I had a comment that wasn't about the report. It was about your how do I say this? How you are representing the department on social media.
Yes, ma'am.
I am very thankful, and I've had a lot of people comment on how well you are communicating with the community, from press releases, just for information concerning things that you are concerned about and that you keep an eye on, as well as early as yesterday when you had a very moving letter to commemorate the Martin Luther King holiday.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
I really appreciate you being transparent and forthcoming and really representing us well online. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, Chief, keep up the good work. Tell all your folks thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next up, we have Ms. Ortman, the Director of Public Works.
Always have to follow the tall guy. Good evening. You have our written report from Public Works, so just a few things I'd like to highlight. As you know, the new camera truck for the sewer department was one of our big purchases this past year. We've got it in, we've been trained, and we've been using one of the new features, which is the lateral launch camera. That camera can go up into a service from the sewer main. We used to only have the ability to televise the mains. Now we can televise the services. We've already had 2 occasions to use that. The first was to determine whether or not a sinkhole in the street was due to our main or due to someone's service, and we were able to make that determination that it was the service, and that way then there was no argument about who was responsible for repair. And one of the things that I'm really hoping to use this for more often is to televise sewers in areas where we're going to be doing water main replacement. One of our biggest sources of change orders and design issues is not knowing where the sanitary sewer services are because we don't track them. And so what we did in December was we took the truck out and we went down Dudley Street and we televised every sewer service down Dudley in anticipation of this water main project that will be happening later this spring. The guys marked them, so now, and we've got measurements, so many feet from the upstream manhole, so that when the contractor does come out, we'll know where they are, and it will be a much better flow. I hope to get this done for future jobs. I'd like to get this done prior to design so that that information can actually be on the design drawings. Water plant, as you know, middle of the year, we lost 2 of our senior staff members. We still have an interim director, but Macomb is very fortunate to have 3 Class A water operators. Class A is the highest operation certificate you can have. We have 3. Some cities have trouble finding 1. And the staff that we have stepped up. We were able to fill those 2 missing positions, and the staff that had not previously had to be responsible for a lot of stuff just run the plants, branched out and took responsibility for sampling, maintenance, all kinds of things that they really hadn't had to do before, and they've done an excellent job. So I'm very pleased that they were able to step up and fill that void. We did complete the emergency eye wash and shower stations. You'll remember we had come to you for approval of that earlier in the year. That work was done on time, and we have received our abatement notice from OSHA, so that is closed out. In the operations department, one of the big things that happened was we got our annual tree grant, which is for inventory this year, so that got completed. And now the city forester is working with that consultant to get all that data into our GIS system and get that updated. That was a joint project, you might recall, with the Macomb Park District, excuse me. As far as construction projects go, I'll be very brief. Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the water main replacement, those are done. And the Phase 3 contractor will be back in the spring because there's a lot of landscaping work to do and some concrete work to do. They will be back to get that all taken care of, but everyone has been moved over to the new main. We had unfortunately had a water main break on the old main before they got transferred over, so we had to repair the old main, but that is taken care of. And then finally, the downtown revitalization project is on hold, as you know, until spring, and the contractor will be back, and we'll get that done this summer. If anybody has any questions?
Anything for Alice? Any questions or comments? Alderman Brown Edwards.
Thank you, Director Ortman. I have a question and a comment for you. Can you tell me how much more of the downtown revitalization needs to be completed? And my comment to you is, Friday and Saturday, we kind of had like 12 hours of snow straight, and your staff, I don't know what type of coffee you have over there at Public Works, but they did a fine job. I had to leave my home about 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, and it was so drivable. I mean, outside of town, it was not in your purview.
Right.
In town you did a very fine job. But could you
Thank
please
you.
speak to the revitalization?
I would say they're about 40% complete with the work in the downtown, so another 60% to go. So we have the south side of the square, the north side of the square, and then a small section over here on East Jackson to get completed. We get the lights to get back up. Just pretty much the concrete, the sidewalks to get done, but they are completely finished on West Jackson, the west side of Lafayette, the east side of Randolph.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Alice.
Thank you.
That'll do it for the quarterly reports. We do have a departmental annual report from the Marketing and Downtown Director, Ms. Kristen Terry.
Thank you, Mayor. So I will be brief. Just want to kind of go over a couple things. The presentations, I did 11 last year to organizations, students. I produced and edited 42 videos, the average of 6 hours per video. That was an average of 6 hours per video for 42 videos last year. I did 60 press releases, which is about 5 a month. The downtown renovation grant, of course, you guys know about that, but 3 are complete. 1 will be complete at the end of this fiscal year, which ends April 30th. The reinvestment in downtown was $2,560,483. This does not include the downtown revitalization in this number. The occupancy rate for downtown is 94.7, which is about 7 buildings that are not occupied. All my events, Park and Cruise, Summer Concert Series, Independence Day, the Downtown Block Party, Moon Over Macomb. We did the Amtrak 50th, Dickens on the Square. We gave out the mayor and I gave out 3 historic downtown legacy business awards last year to Century 21 for 79 years, Mr. Sweeper for 35, and Magnolia's Restaurant and Catering for 25 years. Data on the previous months for the city's website of the traffic sessions, page views, just kind of some statistics. Went over the downtown Macomb social media. Had about 88,865 Facebook page that it reached. The city of Macomb's Facebook page, I had over 115,597. And I only did that for the time that I started as the marketing director, which is May. So that was from May to December. So all that statistics is only from then. Went to conferences. I'm in my 3rd year of the Midwest Community Development Institute through the IIRA. This will be my 3rd year starting this year, and hope to take the test to be a certified community development. And then that's about it.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Terry? Comments? Alderman Vajezzi.
Two things that popped out here. One was a reinvestment back in the downtown of $2.5 million. That's an excellent thing to have people reinvesting back within our city. But the other one is the downtown occupancy rate of 94.7. If you go around our local region, there's a lot of downtowns that have a lot of blight, have a lot of empty buildings. It is great to see that, we only have 7 buildings. I'm sure you're probably working on trying to get them filled right now, but it's great to see that we have such great occupancy. It's great that people are reinvesting in Macomb, so thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you, Kristen. There's only, and I don't want to belabor this, but Alice, in your report, I'm sorry, I just now saw it here, or picked up on it. Your charts on water treatment plant flow and wastewater treatment plant flow, there's a significant difference between the amount of water flowing through the distribution system in August and September, considering the amount that we treated. Was that because of rain and infiltration into the system? Okay, so we still have those ongoing problems. All right, thank you. Not your fault, just bringing that to the attention. It's a pretty dramatic variance there, so. Alrighty, that concludes our report. I want to thank all of the managers and department heads for keeping us in the know and all your efforts that you do on a day-to-day basis with your subordinate crews and staff to keep Macomb running at a top speed. So thank you very much. I'd like to move on to unfinished business now. Item number 1, consideration to enter in a design, engineering, and services agreement with IMEG Corporation in the amount of $46,928 for the Adams Street Improvement ITEP project. There's a memorandum in your packet from the Public Works Director. Alice, could you come up and go over that for us, please?
Thank you. And if I could just add on to the mayor's comment, we can also expect to potentially see increases as we start getting snow melt this fall, or this spring after. Who knows if we get a lot more snow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So as you remember, we went through a quality-based selection process for the Adams Street ITEP project. And IMEG was selected because we are using these federal funds. IDOT has very precise forms and formulas and everything that they have to use to develop their estimate. And so that's what you see as the local public agency engineering services in the packet. So their total amount is $46,928, and I would request approval of this agreement so they can get started. The goal is to go out for the January 23rd letting, January 2023 letting, with construction being complete in August of 2023.
Thank you. Would you entertain a motion to approve the engineering services agreement with IMEG for the Adams Street ITEP project?
Make a motion to enter into a design engineering service agreement with IMEG Corporation in the amount of $46,928 for the Adams Street Improvement ITEP project.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions for Ms. Hortman regarding the process or the amount? Alderman Brown Edwards.
Thank you. Director, can you tell me if, you said that the project should conclude sometime in August. I mean, are we hoping that it is in the earlier part to not?
Oh, it should be done before school starts, yes.
Thank you.
That's the goal.
Thank you, thank you.
And again, that's 2023.
2023, yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Already hearing no other discussion, roll call, please.
Vajezzi,
Aye.
Wynn,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Katz. Aye. Brown Edwards.
Aye.
Moon,
Aye.
Whalen,
Aye.
all ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. There is no other unfinished business. Under new business, item number 1, consideration of a resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code for South Johnson Street Water Main Project from Harmony Lane to Grant Street. There's a memorandum in your packet from the Public Works Director. Alice, could you go over that for us, please?
Certainly. As you may recall, if you've been through the budget process before, we have to do a resolution every year to use our motor fuel tax funds. And this is IDOT's way of officially allocating those funds to specific projects, et cetera. This is a similar process that we have to go through to use the Rebuild Illinois funds. The form, I think, is pretty much exactly the same. So I'm requesting approval of this resolution to authorize us using $390,000 towards the water main portion of the project. We will, once we get the actual street reconstruction out, there'll be another resolution to authorize those funds to be used as well.
Thank you. So we could ask the city attorney to read the resolution to the record, please.
Thank you. The resolution does provide that this would be a contract project for roadway improvements on Johnson Street from Harmony Lane to Grant Street. Further provides that the city would be using the Rebuild Illinois funds for the construction costs for a new 8-inch water main, hydrants, valves, service connections, and fittings and abandonment of the existing water main. The appropriated sum is $390,000, and the clerk would be directed to transmit the required originals to the Illinois Department of Transportation.
Thank you. We'd entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So move. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Any discussion on the resolution or the project? All righty, hearing none, roll call, please.
Wynn,
Aye.
Cook. Katz.
Aye.
Brown Edwards.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
Whalen.
Aye.
Vejezi.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And thank you, Alice.
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, consideration to authorize submitting an application for the Paul Brune Historic Revitalization Grant for the city of Macomb. There's a memorandum in your packet from Mr. Bannon from the Community Development Office. He's not able to be here with us this evening. Kristen, could you go over what we're trying to accomplish with this grant, please?
Yes,
Application?
absolutely. I'm working with John on this application. We would like to submit an application for the Paul Brun Historic Revitalization Grant that is available. WRC would prepare the application. This would create a sub-grant program to revitalize the historic buildings. We could be awarded the range of $200,000 to $750,000. The goal of this grant is to rehabilitate rural historic properties at the national, state, and local level of significance, and to protect and foster our economic development. The city does not have to have any matching funds for this grant, so at this time we are looking for your approval to submit our application, and the deadline of this application is February 22nd of 2022.
Thank you. Any questions for Kristen? Alderman Moon.
Is there a boundary that this can be used in, or is this citywide?
The boundaries would be it has to be a historic.
The historic district?
Yes, so it had to be like our historic district, like the downtown square.
Does it follow similar historic rules that we already operate under?
Yes, yes.
So is it facade or is it roofs?
So, no, it can
or-
be anything. It can be facade, mechanical, architectural, it can be plumbing, it could be any of those. It doesn't have to be just like the downtown renovation grant, no. And of course, we would have to come up with what our sub-grant would be. I mean, like the writing of the sub-grant.
Okay.
Anything else? Anyone else? All right, we'd entertain a motion to authorize submitting an application for the Paul Brune Historic Revitalization Grant.
Make a motion to authorize submitting an application for the Paul Brune Historic Revitalization Grant for the city of Macomb.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the application or submitting the application. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Cook.
Aye.
Katz. Aye. Brown Edwards.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
Whalen.
Aye.
Vejezi.
Aye.
Wynn.
Aye.
All ayes.
Thank you. Motion carried. There is no other new business this evening. Any committee reports? Alderman Vejezi.
Just a quick update on the animal shelter for the dogs. At the beginning of the month, we had 8 dogs. 4 were picked up, 15 were dropped off for 27, but then 14 were reclaimed, 9 were adopted, so currently there's actually 4 dogs at the shelter. And for cats, we had 11 at the beginning of the month. 11 were dropped off, 13 were adopted. One was rescued as a barn cat, so we actually currently have 8 cats. But a big shout out to a local partnership with Pets Plus. Pets Plus has been putting cats in their store, in a little area in the store, and really getting the community to realize that they have these cats and that they're available. So they did an outstanding job to really help out with the Humane Society and the shelter to get these cats adopted.
Very good. Kudos to the Pet Plus. Thank you. Any other committee reports? Hearing none, automatic reports. Alderman Moon.
No report.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Brown Edwards.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Again, I wanted to thank the Public Works Department and Director Ortman for doing an amazing job in the middle of the night, early in the morning for snow removal and preparation for the snow, because I know they were laying salt down before the snow even hit, so I appreciate that. And I know there's a lot of people who appreciate it as well. I also want to welcome back Western and Spoon River students, and I want to wish a good semester to those students and the new semester for Macomb schools as well. Thank you, Your Honor.
Very good. Thank you. Alderman Katz.
No report.
Thank you. Alderman Cook.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. And Alderman Nguyen.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Alderman Vajezi.
Just piggybacking on what Alderman Brown Edwards said, thank you to the Public Works, who did an outstanding job with the streets.
Thank you. Alderman Wayland.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Clerk.
No report, sir.
Okay. Ms. Scoff, do you have any more?
No report, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Croker.
No report, Your Honor.
Did you want to tell about, they were here?
Well, I
but-
can,
Yeah,
I
please.
can. So I think she met everyone, so we have a new business office director that started today, Melissa Worley. Her and her husband were here. Unfortunately, they had to leave. Their house hunting in the Macomb area, so they're moving back to Macomb. We're very excited to have her. Carrie will be, she will be shadowing Carrie Rhodes for a while. So we're, very good timing. We're starting the budget process, so.
Good. We do welcome Melissa and Mitch. You may know her from her previous days here with a local grocer, and we're very excited, as Scott said, to have her on board. I'd like to ask for your concurrence in setting up our negotiating teams for our 3 collective bargaining units that will be negotiating new terms of and conditions for and their new contracts. I will ask for your concurrence in appointing Alderman Dennis Moon and Alderman Don Nguyen to the Teamsters Collective Bargaining Negotiating Team. Alderman Tom Cook and Mike Wayland to the Police Collective Bargaining Negotiating Team, and Alderman John Vajezi and Tammy Lee Brown Edwards to the Fire Collective Bargaining Negotiating Team.
Motion to concur.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to concur with those assignments. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please. Yep, we're going to be paying them.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Wayland,
Aye.
Vajezi,
Aye.
Nguyen,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Katz. Aye. Brown Edwards.
Aye.
Moon.
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And I'd like to take just a minute to thank the local NAACP branch for sponsoring the Martin Luther King Jr. March yesterday. It commenced at the Courthouse Square, and we went to the Multicultural Center on the campus of Western Illinois University. Probably close to 100 folks participated. We had the support of the fire department, the police department, and Go West Transit that were responsible for providing protection and rides back to the courthouse. So, and those folks that participated, we appreciated that, and would remind everyone that there are other activities scheduled near or on campus throughout this week to commemorate the legacy of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I believe that's all before you this evening. We entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.